A common question we get from parents of players that are maybe 15, 16 or 17 years of age is, how do I help my son build their confidence in games? In fact, it's not just parents, but the players themselves and even coaches come to us and ask us the same thing. How do we instill confidence in our players? And the simple answer is that you don't build confidence, you build evidence. You build up such an overwhelming amount of evidence that you know you can do what you say you can do. Because confidence comes as a result of evidence, not the other way around. So let's say you're playing a video game. You come up against the boss at the end of the level. First time you battle him, you get completely destroyed. Next time, you do a little bit better, but you still lose. Third time, you get his health down to like half before your character dies. But by now, you've figured out how to beat him, what the tricks are, and on the fourth try, you beat him without losing any health at all. And from that point on, whenever you play the game again, you have the confidence to battle and beat the boss with ease. Why? Well, because you've built up enough evidence from doing it enough times to know with absolute certainty that you can get the outcome you want. You've gotten in enough reps that you can predict the outcome. Now, footy is no different. You need to get enough reps in so that you can perform the task or the skill without even thinking about it. Let's say that the skill you're working on is a spiral pass. Maybe you play hooker or in the halves, or you're a fullback that needs to run a sweep play, and you need to be able to throw a long spiral pass to hit your winger. Problem is that when it comes to the game, you think you might be able to make the pass, but you remember last season when you tried it a few times and you threw an intercept once, a forward pass another time, and once the ball sailed right over the winger's head and landed 10 meters into the crowd on the other side of the sideline. So then the common response from players, parents and coaches is that Johnny isn't confident. How do we build up his confidence? And look, that's a perfectly reasonable response. I get that. But the answer is, it's not some coaching trick. It's not a hack that some rugby league guru is going to deliver or some magical drill that's going to fix all of his problems. The answer is a lot simpler than that, and it's also a lot more boring. The twofold answer is, first, you've got to get better. The reason you're not executing the skill is because you're probably not skillful enough to do it, and you know it. And you know that on the odd occasion, you can throw that pass and make it stick, but not consistently, not on a regular basis. And that's why you're not confident, because deep down inside, you know it's a risky play and that it may or may not come off. Now, I'm not saying everyone who throws those passes is going to hit it every time. Even NRL players miss them from time to time. And on top of that, every person has a different level of risk tolerance that they're prepared to play with during a game. Some players are just naturally more conservative than others, and that's fine. In fact, I think everyone who's played the game has probably played with someone who definitely takes more than their fair share of unnecessary risks on the field. However, the principle stands. You're not confident enough because you're not good enough. And you're not good enough because you haven't put in the reps yet. And that's the second part. You haven't put in enough work to get good enough to know that you can produce the same result over and over. Now, there might be some of you out there that say, that's all well and good, Joe, but there's this player in my team, Jordan, and he doesn't do that many hours of practice on his passing, and he can do it. And you know what? Yeah, sure, you're right. Jordan may have more natural talent than you. That's life. Jordan might only need to do 30 or 40 reps per week to be able to hit that pass 9 out of 10 times. You, on the other hand, you might need 10 times more. 300, 400 reps per week might be your requirement to get yourself to the same point where you're hitting that pass 9 times out of 10. Just like Jordan. It is what it is. Life's like that. And knowing that life's like that, whether you believe that it's nature or nurture, whether it's God or fate, the rules have been set and that's how the game is played. But something that's worth keeping in mind is that being awesome at anything is always time-consuming, boring, and almost always a matter of thousands and thousands of reps. And even for the people that are right at the top of their game, it's no different. Playing music, for example. Let's say someone who's mastered the piano, a concert-level pianist. They started off doing countless hours of boring scales, up and down, training the muscle memory over and over, performing the same boring skill until the piano itself it almost becomes a part of them. Now that pianist has the confidence to play in front of thousands of people without making a mistake, because they put in the work. Think of whenever you see like a chef using their knife. Have a look at Gordon Ramsay video on YouTube. He's prepping food and the insane skill he displays when the knife's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour and he cuts the food without cutting himself. Now, he wasn't born like that. It came with countless hours doing boring things, and now he is so confident that he doesn't even give it a second thought. One final example, and you don't even have to look at some top 1% of the population to see the principle at work. You can just look at home. Look at mum or dad when they drive the car. Maybe they drive you to your game on a Saturday or a Sunday. The windows are down, the car stereo's playing music, you're chatting to them about school or footy or whatever, and they're taking all of this in while navigating all the things that they need to whilst driving a car. Now, why is it so easy for them? Well, because they've done it so many times that they're now good at it. They have confidence because they've done it before, and they've done it so many times that they're confident that they can deal with whatever happens when they're on the road. So the point is, you need to outwork your self-doubt. Okay, so we know that confidence comes from evidence, and evidence is accumulated by putting in the work, by stacking up so many reps that you know you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. So how do you know when you've reached that level? Well, we call that level unconscious competence. And that's essentially when you've put in the work to such an extent that you can perform the skill, you can execute it perfectly, and you can do it without even thinking about it. That's confidence. Now, how long does it take to get to that point? It differs for everyone. But like I said, natural talent definitely plays into it. But to get to the point where you're unconsciously competent, where you're confident in yourself, you need to move through the 3 other levels of the skill acquisition continuum, which is essentially the process of acquiring and mastering skills. Right, so first level is unconscious incompetence. You suck, but you don't even know it. That's what it's like the first time you're exposed to any skill. You don't know what you're doing, okay? That's level 1. Level 2, second level is conscious incompetence. You suck, but you know that you suck. This is when you know what the drill or the skill should look like, and you also know that when you do the skill, it just doesn't look right. Okay, so that's level 2. Level 3 is conscious competence. This is when you can execute the skill, sometimes, if you're concentrating and you're focused. You know what it should look like. Sometimes you get it right and sometimes you don't. I mentioned earlier, this fourth and the final level that you want to be getting yourself to is unconscious competence. You can now execute the skill whenever you want, in whatever circumstances, without even thinking about it. And this is your goal, to get yourself to this point. So remember, you don't build confidence, you build evidence. You build up evidence by getting in thousands of reps to the point that you know you can do something. Not that you think you can, but that you know you can. Put in the work and confidence will come. Trust me, because I'm Joe, and Joe knows.